Before their performance begins, an orchestra's ensemble will tune to the standard 440 Hz, an A note. In this example, the musicians play this note on their respective instruments, and they each harmonize with it in their own ways to ready for the upcoming performance. Before the start of any level of Halo Combat Evolved, we can observe the same idea, but altered to better fit the atmospheres of the sci-fi odyssey. A lone monk holds an E note. E Dorian is the key of Halo's main theme. While your game loads further, more monks will join in to tune and harmonize. A lower B, followed by an F sharp, and then a lower E. This creates a variant of an E suspended second chord, a kind of chord usually intended to ring between two other chords to create tension. Since we're between two levels, the loading screen tells us there's still yet more ahead.
We're coming in too fast! Damn! Handbrake failure! They pushed him early! I'm losing her! Right for impact!
Chief? Chief, can you hear me? At last! Are you alright? Can you move? Yeah, there's the impact. There's nothing you can do.
After a rough landing, and seeing nobody else made it, you gather yourself and some supplies, and look upon the alien, yet oddly Earth-like landscape. The only thing to accompany you is Cortana's warning of incoming danger, and an uneasy building of musical strings, interrupting your brief yet awe-inspiring moment on this fantastical alien ring. But you're not in Kansas anymore, and you better get moving, because the fight's far from over and you're down a few men. And those Covenant fellas are looking for survivors. The music continues as a Covenant dropship flies overhead. The Covenant are wasting no time. Backed up by a pair of Banshees and a scouting squad of Covenant grunts and elites up ahead, it's up to you to push through the valley and onto the next.
I'm reading a lifeboat beacon over the next hill. We should check to see if there are any survivors.
A low string in C greets us as we find a Covenant dropship and automatic fire. The string only accompanies us during our initial encounter at the alien edifice. From then on, wave after wave of Covenant is only accompanied by the sounds of weapons, exclamations, and the natural sounds of the valley. We're also met by a new foe, sporting handheld energy shields and more strength than the smaller aliens. And, after a few waves, a familiar track, Brothers in Arms, accents our final set of combat encounters at the edifice. Fun fact, the low string from earlier is in the same key as this song. Shortly thereafter, we're relieved by the Pelican dropship Echo 419. If we look up during her arrival, we can see other lifeboats from the Pillar of Autumn, making their way further into the valley. Before she leaves for a nearby command shuttle, the pilot leaves us a Warthog scout vehicle and a gunner for its turret. A volunteer also steps up to be a shotgunner for the chief, and accompanies him to his next objective, the valley ahead. As we learn how to drive in Halo, the main theme's percussion kicks in, later joined by a rising choir. While we drive, the Marines shout in excitement at our big jumps, and the overall mood is resolute. Though, don't get too carried away behind the wheel.
This cave is not a natural formation. Someone built it, so it must lead somewhere.
The cave is indeed not a natural formation. A large echoey chamber followed by dead silence and shadowy interiors sets the tone for the next few minutes. Sure, you're blasting Covenant with your fellow troopers on your Warthog like the badass that you are, but when the dust settles, the tone is palpable. The music that begins to play is extremely unsettling. This ring, as beautiful as it may be, seems to imply a much more sinister intent. The abandoned and shadowy interior of this room, its large cavernous moat below, it juxtaposes the lively and lush exteriors that you were previously in. What is the purpose of this massive ring that we're all now stranded on? You walk up the ramp and are greeted by a hostile elite. sometimes even jump scaring you depending on your pace. As you activate the light bridge and exit this unnatural cavern, you hear Cortana once again, followed by her mentioning coordinating a resistance with the other survivors of the ring. You exit the metallic halls into a beautiful valley, with blaring and inspiring music to follow your push.
Of the world scale reminds me a lot of some other media. In this scene from The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, a similarly epic orchestral piece, The Ring Goes South by Howard Shore, complements swooping shots of Middle-earth. The heroes of this story are also given focus, bouncing off the air of determination the music evokes through a rising orchestral suite. In Halo, we'll shortly be meeting our fellow heroes, the Marines, whom we're about to rally in the valley ahead. Oh, that rhymes. In Halo's second level, once you reach the valley, the open world is yours to tackle in any order. You'll notice that for much of the rest of this mission, music has become absent. In the previous episode, I noted that Halo makes intelligent use of its music. This includes the moments where it's not playing. At MagFest 2024, I had the opportunity to ask Martin O'Donnell about Halo's music. He confirmed to me an inference I made in episode 1. The music side of Bungie kept not only the construction of all music deliberate, but also the placement. After all, when everything's a big deal, nothing is. Sure, you're in awe at the world around you and you're eager to rally the troops, but the game's just getting started. Musically, there really isn't much else for me to comment on until the end of the level. My first destination for this playthrough was the edifice along the cliffs. It almost stands as a monolith to the ancients who built it. Below, we also get a look at how these beam emitters work. Machinery within swells audibly and ejects the beam from the tower's undercroft. We clear the area of Covenant and the Marines are rescued by Echo 419, and we head to our next destination, a rock slide. The Marines here are under siege by waves of Covenant landing craft. Again, we arrive, help them stand their ground, and wait for Echo 419 to pick them up. Our last destination is another beam emitter. Wherever the last group of Marines is for your playthrough, the last song that plays in this level is The Gun Pointed at the Head of the Universe. This piece has a wondrous, enthusiastic air. However, beneath the surface, there's so much more going on. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Halo's main theme is in the key of E Dorian. In music, the notes therein are E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. The Dorian mode has a close relation to minor keys, sharing most of any minor keys notes. Music in Dorian modes therefore has some melancholy, but because the sixth note in the mode is raised by a sharp, it also has some brightness, bringing it closer to major scales. For Halo's theme, again in E Dorian, it creates an atmosphere of charming mystery. The Gun Pointed at the Head of the Universe uses the same notes from E Dorian, but is instead much closer to being in another key, G Lydian. In music, the Lydian mode tends to be brighter and more inviting than the Dorian mode. To put this all into context for Halo, the main theme in Dorian is charmingly mysterious. It draws you into the ring world. When you're actually on the surface, just as in this level, you get a first-hand look at the ring and it's exciting. You want to explore every nook and cranny, unearth every secret the ring holds, and learn as much as you can. But this song runs even deeper. After some tribal percussion beats, the song's first melody follows the mentioned G Lydian scale. It starts with G, then goes to D, C sharp, E, then back down to D. With G staying as the bass note, all remains consistent. This melody is what gives us the brightness and invitation expected from a sci-fi adventure. However, after this melody repeats itself, we move on to the next one, which starts with a C instead of a G, and the bass notes become C and D. C is not an RG Lydian key. What's going on? Basically, this dissonant note is here to purposely interrupt the melody side of the song. When we hit the C after resting on G for a bit, the song feels different. This note creates tension in the melody, and also prevents the song from going instead to D, which is a more natural place to go in G Lydian. This keeps you hooked. The final melody of the song is a descending pattern. It only has 3 notes, and 2 of the 3 notes are in key. In order, these notes are received from earlier, an A sharp and an A. That last note is the only one still in key. The C is there to continue its purpose, preventing natural resolution of the song. To emphasize this digression from G Lydian even more, the A sharp is brought in as what's called a chromatic passing tone. Basically, it's a note that's briefly used in a melody to join 2 others. Altogether, this final melody lets us return to the first melody of the song without ever hitting the 3rd note of the G Lydian scale, that being B. In avoiding that B, while also introducing other theoretically dissonant or minor sounding notes, the gun pointed at the head of the universe is inherently adventurous and intriguing. It carries a more eager feel compared to Halo's main theme, which feels as it does not only because it's Endorian, but also because it's based on Gregorian chants, which are typically associated with religious ceremony, which tends to be more mellow. Gun pointed carries this mood forward, but because it's in Lydian mode, the brightest of all keys in music. It's a perfect ending track to your first escapade on this ancient ringworld.